Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this massive Wednesday for Chelsea FC. It's a big night in the Champions League for Chelsea, the second leg against Atletico Madrid. If you haven't seen my preview, it's up on the channel now. Please go and watch it. It'll be up in the cards as well, so go and check it out. It's pressure, it really is, I think, for this current Chelsea squad. I think we're going to learn a lot about this Chelsea squad because I think this is one of the biggest games we've had, not only this season, but in recent years as well, especially in the Champions League. So let's hope we get the job done. I'm going to be back again for my irrational perspective tonight, hopefully discussing Chelsea getting through to the quarterfinals for the first time in 7 years. Before we get into any of the stories today, mostly transfer related stuff. Erling Haaland, Donnarumma to some big transfer stories for this summer. How big will this summer be once again for Chelsea in the transfer market? But also talking about Antonio Rudiger, his future getting back into the first team under Thomas Tuchel recently and some brilliant performances, and also touching on his current contract situation because that is quite interesting, not only for this summer but next summer. But I also want to say a massive thank you to the sponsors of Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021, Lucid FC. And Lucid, because of tonight's massive game, have a special discount code for you guys, my audience, tonight. You can enjoy free shipping during the Champions League match against Atletico Madrid using the discount code CHAMPIONS at checkout. So please use that code. It'll be there during the game. Link in the description box below. I believe Lucid will be commenting on the video as well and sending that special link for you guys to use as well. So thank you, Lucid FC. The special discount code is there. You can get this awesome hoodie like others as well. So make sure you check out Lucid FC, and thank you, Lucid, for sponsoring Let's Talk Chelsea in 2021. But we've spoken a lot about Erling Haaland in recent weeks. I think almost like a month now, it feels like, probably even over that, since he started being linked to Chelsea for the summer. And sort of speaking about what Chelsea are going to do in the summer, how big will the summer transfer window be given how huge it was last summer, how many players. I don't think Chelsea are going to be signing the amount of players because we don't need to, but in terms of the stature of some signings Chelsea could be making, especially Erling Haaland, it could still be a big summer in that sense. I don't think Chelsea should be expecting us to make 6 or 7 signings. I don't think that will be happening unless there's a massive clear out, which I also think is unlikely given the current market. Chelsea can spend a lot of money, but selling unwanted players I think will still be a tricky sort of thing for a Marina Granovskaya to sort of handle and negotiate in the summer, because Chelsea have a lot of players on the fringes, players that may want to be elsewhere in the summer if they're not getting regular game time. I think that is a big issue and could also hamper Chelsea's ability to make big signings too. But this report comes here, and this has been sort of several reports, almost daily reports now, surrounding Chelsea and Erling Haaland. And this comes from Tutto Mercato in Italy, claiming that Chelsea have 300 million for the transfer market. Haaland is a priority even without a release clause. It claims that Roman Abramovich has decided that next transfer market will not be muted after the many millions spent last summer for Ziyech, Werner, Thiago Silva and Havertz. The Russian tycoon, 10 seasons after winning the Champions League, wants to relaunch his candidacy to win at a high level in Europe. There's been many reports in recent days surrounding how much Erling Haaland will cost, because there isn't that release clause until the next summer. I believe Bild in Germany, Christian Falk was claiming somewhere close to 150 million euros. I said this a lot about Kai Havertz last summer and was proven wrong, but I do think if Chelsea were to sign Erling Haaland, it would be the biggest deal in history. I just think it will. I think in terms of what this player is actually giving you on a regular basis now, absolutely ridiculous. 19 goals in 20 Bundesliga appearances, and that isn't even counting the amount of goals he scored in the Champions League for Borussia Dortmund. If you watched, and I'm sure you guys probably did watch, Erling Haaland in the Champions League for Borussia last week against Sevilla, single-handedly winning that match. I mean, defensively, I wouldn't mind facing Borussia Dortmund in the next round because they are very shaky defensively. If they don't have Erling Haaland, and Jadon Sancho is currently injured as well, he was the man spearheading that attack. I was so impressed with his all-round game. I mean, you didn't have to look at the Sevilla match to be impressed by Erling Haaland. You just look at his numbers, you look at his history so far at Borussia Dortmund, at Salzburg before that. It's incredible, it really is. He is a phenom currently. He is a monster on that pitch. I spoke about Diego Costa yesterday, and I have to say there were parts of Haaland's game last week in terms of sort of the confrontational nature with Sevilla defenders and the goalkeeper that reminded me a lot of Costa. And that's the sort of thing that attracted me to Erling Haaland, because I was like, I want a bit of that in this current team, along with the world-class finishing ability that Erling Haaland has. I think that in terms of Chelsea, Champions League is once again a priority. Top four is priority. The good thing is Chelsea do have it in their hands to finish in the top four in the Premier League. I think the next 3 Premier League games are absolutely crucial. Chelsea have to get maximum points, because with other teams, I was looking at some of the fixtures of, say, West Ham, Leicester, some teams below that as well, sort of facing each other, whilst Chelsea are facing teams that you expect them to beat, like West Brom, Brighton, Crystal Palace. I think Fulham are in there. I do believe we play West Ham after, I think, the Palace or Fulham game. That's a massive game. West Ham away from home. That almost could be a deciding game in the Premier League top 4 race. So Chelsea need it a bit like last season to have a decent summer. I think Chelsea could make a lot of money selling players. I also think another player to look at is Gianluigi Donnarumma from AC Milan. Several sources have been claiming recently, pretty much since the January window. I remember speaking about this in one of the first episodes of Let's Talk Chelsea this year, that Chelsea were in talks or trying to sign AC Milan goalkeeper Donnarumma, because his contract situation is up in the air. He can speak to other clubs currently, and Chelsea could be one of those clubs looking for him. I mean, it's amazing to think about Donnarumma and look at his age currently, what he could be worth in a couple of years' time, what he is worth currently, and the opportunity to sign a really young goalkeeper. Naturally, when we're speaking about young goalkeepers, Chelsea going out there to a foreign league and signing a young goalkeeper, you're going to be thinking about Kepa Arrizabalaga, just in terms of that sort of fear that a similar thing could happen. I would say in context, not only in terms of the physical build of Donnarumma, the fact he has been around for a long time, even though he's still a very young goalkeeper, I would say as well the physical profile of this player, who I think is more suited to the Premier League given his height, given the fact he can be quite dominating in his box. I don't think Kepa Arrizabalaga has ever been able to do that for Chelsea, and that's been a big flaw of his game as well, the confidence element too. I also think Kepa Arrizabalaga, in terms of where he currently stands at Chelsea, I think that it's down to whether Chelsea are going to let him go. If we can sign a new goalkeeper, I don't expect. I think if Kepa stays this summer, doesn't even go out on loan, I can't see Donnarumma coming in, because I just think that Chelsea have put so much into Kepa Arrizabalaga. Everything you keep reading about Kepa is that the club obviously still wants him to succeed, but they believe that he still can succeed at the club. And it seems that there still is a massive decision to be made there in terms of maybe just, and then this is a sort of a social media term, taking the L basically on Kepa Arrizabalaga and understanding this has been a deal that's failed for the club. In different circumstances, when we signed Kepa Arrizabalaga in the summer of 2018, that was a rushed move. It was a panic move by Chelsea. They needed to sign a new goalkeeper in a short period of time. Bilbao, the Basque sort of policy they have there in terms of the players they sign, the players they don't sign, it was going to raise that fear as well. Chelsea were in a rush and a panic to sign a replacement for Thibaut Courtois. It's a little bit different right now with Edouard Mendy, and I do think the form of Edouard Mendy currently for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel, and he's been for most of the season despite that really sticky patch in the middle where I don't think personally he was responsible for massive mistakes like Kepa was last season. He's been brilliant. He really has. I think 14 clean sheets in the Premier League this season, just a couple behind Ederson, who of course is the goalkeeper for Man City. They're going towards the Premier League title. It's been so impressive, Edouard Mendy. I mean, in terms of Chelsea spending tons and tons of money on new players, if you speak about value for signings and the value of signings this season, Edouard Mendy has probably been top of that list with Thiago Silva. Mendy has brought such a commanding presence there, that consistency there. He hasn't done anything extraordinary, but he has made some really important saves for Chelsea to get us points and keep clean sheets. So I just wonder, this is not like a crucial priority position. I know people's excitement around Donnarumma. There is still that chance that he could be signing a new contract with AC Milan. I spoke about AC Milan yesterday when we were speaking about Frank Kessie and Chelsea's maybe ability to sign him. Of course, Fikayo Tomori could be involved in any swap deals. I also think in terms of Donnarumma, Mino Raiola being the agent of both Haaland and Donnarumma, I can't see us signing two Raiola players in one summer, given how much that would cost the club, but also I think politically, given Chelsea's unwillingness to work with Raiola in the past, as we've seen. So I think they may do it for one of these players, and I think it's more likely Erling Haaland would be that player. But let me know your opinions on this massive summer, because it's going to be interesting to see what Chelsea do, how serious Chelsea are in the market. I do want to throw this question out as well. I mean, do Chelsea really need to spend a large amount of money again with the talent we already have within this squad? It's a young squad, especially in the attacking area of the pitch. I actually think that there's a lot of players there with huge potential who could turn out to be brilliant signings for us, at least next season, players betting into the club a lot more. I want to know, because I think there is still always this sort of willingness and sort of insistence and pressure on the club from fans to spend large amounts of money on players, and Haaland would be an incredible signing, but I still think that with the current crop of players we have, with the quality of Thomas Tuchel, can he create a sort of an attack with the current crop of players that is a lot better than it currently is? Let me know your opinions on all of that, the situation with Haaland, Donnarumma, the big summer ahead. Let me know in the comments below. And I also want to speak about Antonio Rudiger. This article here from Matt Law, Rudiger was doing the press for Chelsea yesterday along with Thomas Tuchel ahead of tonight's massive game, and he revealed that Jose Mourinho tried to sign him in the summer for Tottenham. We know this. I think I was talking about this on a channel deadline day after, I think it was October time, right, wasn't it? Because the summer transfer window was very long last year, and I remember speaking about that following deadline day because we felt that Rudiger was certainly off, and that's just sort of like testament to how much has changed in what is a short period of time, even though that does feel like a long way away now. Back last summer with Frank Lampard still in charge, the summer that just went, and of course the start of this season, so much has changed at Chelsea. And I think Rudiger, the way he's gotten back into the team, the way he's performing currently, he is one of Chelsea's form players. He's had some big performances in big games. He's going to need to have another performance tonight for Chelsea. I think the way he's worked with Christensen, with David in that back three has worked so well. I think the aggressiveness in Rudiger's game has been brilliant. I think I was always a fan of Rudiger. I felt he was one of Chelsea's best defenders before last season. He had a really difficult year. I do wonder now, if we're seeing the form he has currently at Chelsea under Tuchel, if that injury was the key part of that, the sort of the chopping and changing last season, the fact his fitness problems for the first half of the season really caused him to wait until he could get back into the first team. I think maybe that was causing him problems as well, and mentally getting back into the first team after being an outcast. The erratic nature of his game has sort of been trimmed down in recent weeks. We haven't seen those major mistakes that we have seen before, so I think there has been the great side of Antonio Rudiger. Let's hope it continues, because it's helping Chelsea defensively, and we'll need to help Chelsea once again tonight. But the contract situation that Matt Law speaks about here in terms of where he currently finds himself, Antonio Rudiger, Matt Law reports that Chelsea are yet to open talks over a new contract with Rudiger, but the 28-year-old made it clear that he would prefer to stay at Stamford Bridge past his current deal rather than hope Mourinho or PSG renew their interest in him. This is what he had to say. At the end of the day, I cannot give myself a contract, so that is why I'm waiting to see what happens. Everyone, me and the club, know how much I like this club, so it's down to people who make these types of decisions. But at the moment for me, it's to concentrate on important matches and targets. The rest, I'm sure we will resolve it. So hopefully that will be the case. Another position Chelsea could be strengthening this summer is centre-back. Another area that I'm sort of thinking, do we really need to spend large amounts of money on it? I think about Fikayo Tomori out on loan, how well he's doing at the moment. We could bring him back. The current form of the current crop of centre-backs that we have, if Christensen continues to develop, still a young centre-back and performing so well for Thomas Tuchel, if he does well, if Rudiger continues his form, Thiago Silva could be here next season as well, likely to be here next season as well. I think the current form of the defence is really giving us hope that we may not need to spend that amount of money. A lot of things can change very quickly in football. Poor performances, the defensive record maybe dipping in the coming weeks could change that. I do think it's another position that Chelsea will likely spend. If I was to give you sort of percentage, I think it's more likely over 50% that Chelsea do spend in this area, even though I don't think there are many obvious names out there, despite the fact that Chelsea always want to make big signings every summer, it seems like now. So I think that they'll likely spend in this area, even though I think the current batch of defenders are actually performing pretty well at the moment, and we have young defenders out on loan who could improve the current team too, and I don't really want to lose them either. So it's going to be a tough call for Chelsea to make. But will Rudiger have a long-term future at Chelsea beyond his contract? Let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'll see you again tonight for hopefully what will be a massive win for Chelsea in the Champions League.